What's really good? It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with the Boxing Clinic, keeping it moving. And Mauricio Sulaiman Jr., the legacy is continuing his father's work. And, he giving, PED offenders and even two-time offenders like Luis Ortiz a second chance. And apparently, Luis Ortiz has been reinstated as the number 3 WBC contender in the rankings behind Dillian Whyte. And I don't know who else, I don't know who else is who's second. I think it might be Dominic Brazil. I don't know. But he's reinstated at number 3. And, after the WBA suspended him for being a PED offender, I don't know what the WBC found in their investigation was. But I guess they bought the simple fact that Ortiz really did have high blood pressure. And the diuretic and other 2 substances that he took, they bought the excuse, and maybe it was a valid excuse, which the WBA didn't. But you got to think about it. The WBA had been jerking around Luis Ortiz for quite some time. And what I mean by that is he been Anthony Joshua's mandatory for a very long time, and they kept putting him on the back burner. He allowed Anthony Joshua to fight for the WBA title and let Klitschko and him fight for it as long as they returned the favor and fought him next. Joshua avoided him like the plague, and then he got popped. And, the WBA, I guess, didn't do a full investigation. And, they wanted Anthony Joshua to keep that belt at any means necessary because it brought more revenue than if Luis Ortiz beat him. And they suspended him without doing a full investigation. I guess Mauricio Sulaiman Jr. in the WBC did a full investigation and found out Luis Ortiz was, clean. So he'll be number 3, and maybe he might fight Dominic Brazil or Dillian Whyte in the title eliminator. So we'll see, what the future holds for King Kong. But, if the WBA didn't do their due diligence on him and they suspended him for a year, it's terrible. At the end of the day, the WBC also gave Luis Nery a pass. And the guy that he beat had retired, but now he came out of retirement. Now he gets a second chance at fighting Luis Nery because it was a unfair competition. Unfair fight because Luis Nery got popped for some PEDs and said it was in the meat. The meat was contaminated. I don't really buy it. I don't buy Luis Ortiz's story, but I do buy the conspiracy theories that the WBA never wanted him to fight Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua been ducking and swerving left and right, and my little Boosie voice of anybody that's competitive. He don't want to fight nobody, Anthony Joshua, and Luis Ortiz gave him a way out. I don't understand why he didn't file medical papers for the things that he was putting inside his body for his blood pressure. But Mauricio Sulaiman Jr. says the next step in the process for Ortiz is to make sure he's healthy enough to fight and make sure he don't have any more blood pressure issues or any whatever the medical issues he had. And seems like he going to be back in the rankings, and his career got a rebirth real quick. And he really owes a lot to Mauricio Sulaiman Jr. for looking into his case and not having a knee-jerk reaction, suspending him like the WBA did. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or neutral, but he did do his due diligence, sat and listened to the story from the horse's mouth, and he must have believed him. You know what I'm saying? And he's consistent. He gave Luis Nery a chance. Now he gave Luis Ortiz a chance, and the WBA hasn't been consistent, but it is what it is. We gone.